Formosa Files is sponsored by the FRANK CHEN Cultural Foundation.
After the Qing dynasty took over most of western Taiwan in 1683, rebellions against Qing rule were extremely common. To build defensive walls, towns and villages in southern Taiwan used a kind of bamboo fencing or sometimes rammed earth. But there were no stone walls. Why? Because stone walls were illegal. The Qing authorities worried that if rebels seized a town with stone walls, it could be very hard to retake. The major settlement in the Zuoying area back then was called Xinglong Village. This village grew into a small city, and the residents built walls of rammed earth around it. But in 1787, thousands of rebels simply climbed over a hill called Turtle Mountain, which was not enclosed by any wall, and entered the city. The rebels then damaged the earthen walls. Qing forces, however, put down the rebellion, and the leaders were executed. Following this major rebellion, Qing officials changed their minds about stone walls, and in 1825 they began construction of stone walls around Xinglong, this time making sure the hills were inside the walls. Today, the walls are known as the Old City Walls of FENGSHAN County at Zuoying. And it might sound incredible, but the walls were completed in just 1 year. Local Han Chinese workers competed against each other for prizes to see which team could finish sections of the walls the fastest. The Zuoying area doesn't have rock quarries, so the stone used to build the walls was actually dead coral. Workers hauled the sharp coral stone from nearby Tsai Mountain, and craftsmen hammered it into shape. For mortar, an ingenious combination of oyster shells, sticky rice, and brown sugar was used. The strength of this mortar concoction was, and is, surprisingly strong. Japan took possession of Formosa in 1895, and in order to build what today is Zuoying Avenue, the new colonial rulers made several large holes in the old city walls. In 1939, residents around the West Gate were moved, and that gate and its walls were demolished as Japan built up the Zuoying military port. Thankfully, the north, south, and east gates of the old city were preserved. Some sections of the walls were destroyed by fierce typhoons, and other sections eroded, but much of the sections between the south and north gates, including the east gate, remained standing. When the Nationalists, or KMT, arrived in 1945, they took control of the bases used by the Japanese. Zuoying became an important location for the Navy of the Republic of China. The old city walls, however, fell further into decay over the decades. Finally, in 2016, local authorities began refurbishing and rebuilding the old walls. Before we go, do you see that metal circle in the middle of the road? That was once an important well, and not just for ordinary water use. Some believed in an old story that ghosts come from the north, so travelers from the north would use water from this well before entering the north gate, to cleanse themselves of any bad spirits which had attached themselves to the travelers. Behind the well sits a very small temple that dates back to 1661.